Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of J Social's Touchline Talks. Today is Friday, March 17th. So, happy St. Patrick's Day to those of you who are celebrating St. Patrick's Day. I'm sure, depending on where you are in the world, you're probably already drinking, already drunk, whatever it is. Just make sure you party responsibly, make sure you drink responsibly, and do not do anything that I wouldn't do, which isn't too many things. But, anyways, guys, just wanted to wish you guys a happy St. Patrick's Day. I've got my green on, and it's a beautiful day because waking up and knowing that your team, my team is Manchester United, and knowing that Manchester United has qualified for the quarterfinals of the Europa League it's definitely a good feeling, man. This is another quarterfinals that we're in. We're gonna be playing in the FA Cup quarterfinals against Fulham on the weekend. So it's just great to see that we've been here in the past where we've been in quarterfinals and semifinals, but for the first time, we've already bagged the trophy this season. But for the first time, these milestones actually mean something. It's optimism. We're all optimistic about it as fans, and work in progress, like we said, work in progress. But just a recap from this week. Obviously, we had European nights. We had the Premier League. There was so much controversy with the United game, the Chelsea game, in terms of refereeing, and then yeah, obviously we had the European nights. PSG knocked out. Bayern Munich knocked out PSG, which I think it's kind of like a broken clock now with PSG. They keep spending all the big bucks, but the reality is they just have a team full of divas. I look at Messi walking around the pitch, Mbappe. People like to say he doesn't track back. I think for the work that Mbappe does, he doesn't really need to track back. But when you have too many of those kind of players, it can definitely hinder your performance as a team and also as a coach. What kind of formations are you trying to put in play if nobody, half the team is not pressing? Like you look at Messi for Argentina, why Messi looked so good, according to Messi fans, is just because the entire Argentinian team did all the running for him. You look at the McAllister, you look at Alvarez at City, Enzo Fernandez. These guys were running their socks off for Messi, But then he comes to PSG, where he's got divas just like him. Nobody's willing to run, so I'm not surprised to see. I'm not sure what's going to happen with PSG moving forward. Messi looks like he's not going to be signing a contract extension, so we'll see. Obviously, Liverpool crashes out. We already knew that game was done and dusted from the first leg. Especially when that happened at home, losing 5-2 at Anfield. Going to Madrid is the Santiago Bernabeu is never going to be an easy task for any team. Especially Liverpool of the season. Liverpool has not impressed. The only impressive game was against United, and that was just that was a far cry from what they really from their actual performance, their actual where they actually are right now as a team. So not surprised to see that they crashed out. Arsenal, again, another big story. Arsenal crashes out of the Europa League. Definitely, Arsenal has not really been impressive in Europe this season, or historically, we could say. But this season, we've seen a different Arsenal in the Premier League. But Arsenal in the Europa League has kind of looked lackluster. And obviously, I know it's very tough when you've got the youngest team in the league, trying to compete on a high level in the Premier League, where you have the likes of City, United, Chelsea, all those big names that you have to compete with on a daily basis. And the league is not an easy league. Every game is tough. So I can definitely see where the players are feeling burnt out to be able to go on both fronts, whether it's the Europa League and the Premier Leagues. But obviously for Arsenal, the Premier League is that's the golden trophy. That's what you want. Any team wants their league, right? And then Champions League is definitely another option. But Right now, Arsenal has every possibility possible to win the Premier League. So I can understand that they're a young team. It's going to be very hard. And that game was one of those games where we've seen it in football. You know, the goalkeeper is saving everything possible. This guy, I don't know how many. Gabriel had so many headers like that was going in, and the goalkeeper managed to save it. He was also fantastic in the penalties. Um, and also, I think it's one of those where what are you supposed to do, right? Like, there's nothing that you couldn't have written that script better for Sporting Lisbon. It's the same thing with Argentina with Martinez, right? It's sometimes the goalkeepers just get on this ridiculous form in particular games to get their team over the line. And I would say Sporting's goalkeeper won that game for Sporting for sure. But it's unfortunate Arsenal's out. I'm not, I'm not looking sad. One less competition that we've got to face. And this takes me on to the draw that happened today. The Europa League draw happened today. Same with the Champions League draw and the Conference League. But I'm not really going to be covering the Conference League because I don't think there really is any team worth mentioning in there right now. But yeah, just to quickly just starting with the Champions League, the fixtures that really stood out to me are obviously it looks like it's a repeat from last season. Man City versus Munich. That's definitely going to be a big fixture again, like last season. And you could tell the representatives from Munich did not look impressed when City's name was drawn as the opponent. Definitely disappointing, especially they just faced PSG and now they've got to face City, and then the uh, the potential opponent is going to be either Real Madrid or Chelsea, right? That's a tough road to the finals. Real Madrid did it last season. They did it last season. They knocked out the likes of PSG, City, Chelsea. I don't think no, they didn't play Munich because City played Munich. So they had to play a lot of teams, and then Liverpool in the finals. So it is what it is. It looks like that seems to be the narrative lately. Is there's the one side that is all right. It's obviously when you get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, there's no easy teams, but one side is always heavily weighted. Is always full of all the heavyweights, and then the other side is not so much of the heavyweights, but it is the game of football, and like you said, sometimes the heavyweights are the better teams to play because both teams come focused. Sometimes when a big team faces a smaller team or not so big team, there's tendencies for the bigger team to relax. So it's definitely going to be a cracking quarterfinals for sure. Milan versus Napoli, that's going to be another good one. Kind of like the Serie A derby all over again. But this time, AC Milan has a stake to claim. Especially as Napoli has won the Serie A title as of last weekend. And congratulations to Napoli fans for winning the Serie A. This is a huge trophy for them. This is monumental for the club. This has been a work in progress for them for some time now. So, and I'm happy to see that the Italian league is finally coming back because, guys, I grew up, I'm an '89 kid, so I started watching football like in the late '90s, early 2000s. Like that was the peak for me. That was the peak of football for me, and the Italian teams were definitely on top. So, but yeah, so I think those are going to be good fixtures. Real Madrid, Chelsea again. It's going to be a tough one because Real Madrid is not in the greatest form. Chelsea has slowly started picking up form, but we know European nights typically belong to Real Madrid. Like Real Madrid is one of those teams that, even when the chips are down, you can never count them out of the Champions League. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one. I just wanted to quickly also talk about Europa League, which is more important to me right now because, like I said, Manchester United is still in the tournament. Obviously the fixtures that do stand out, the Roma, Feyenoord. That's basically the repeat of the Conference League from last season. I feel that I believe Roma should go by comfortably. I haven't watched Feyenoord much this season, but I've watched a bit of Serie A, AC Milan. in Serie A this season, and they look like a good team. They look like a good team that can definitely get past Feyenoord. And they also have a coach in Jose Mourinho, who, just like Real Madrid, he's a magician when it comes to European nights. So I'm sure he's gonna know. I'm sure he's gonna have the right tactics to get past Feyenoord. And obviously we've got Juve versus Sporting. That's going to be a tough one too, because Juve is currently not going through the best of times, whether it's off the pitch and on the pitch, through injuries, the scandal, the the corruption scandal that's going on as well, the drop in the points. You know, their star player Paul Pogba still can't get fit. So there's a lot that Juve is going through right now. Sporting is that team that they've just got a culture, a footballing culture. You know, the likes of your Ronaldos, even Bruno Fernandes came from Sporting Lisbon. You know, so they have that culture of football, and the Portuguese teams just have the passion. You know, these guys are really what we call those passion merchants. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens in that game. But whoever wins that game will be playing the fixture of United versus Seville. I know a lot of United fans, looking from yesterday's post-match reviews, so a lot of fans seem to wanted to get drawn with Seville, which is very interesting to me because Seville is the Real Madrid of Europa League. So it's very interesting to see that a lot of our fans want to play Seville, but I do understand that. That's why I named this the revenge fixtures, because a lot of these fixtures are basically the revenge opportunity um, to uh, to get a revenge on the other teams from last season. So this is going to be a very interesting one. As we know, Seville has knocked us out from the Champions League a few seasons back. The Europa League, we got knocked out in the semis by Seville, and then obviously we've lost to Villarreal, but that's the story for another day. So yeah, that Seville fixture is going to be very interesting. Obviously, Seville's not doing so well in La Liga, but we know La Liga teams. It doesn't matter what they're doing in La Liga. Club league form doesn't really matter so much in European nights, especially when it comes to the latter stages of the tournament, because these are one games, you know, home and away. It's just, you know, it becomes, obviously there's going to be a level of skill and preparation involved, but at the same time it could be like the Arsenal game where it goes down to penalties, especially with the new format that we have. So it's more likely that games can go to penalties with the new format of the Champions League, so, and the Europa League. So with that being said, any team has a chance. Any team has a chance with this one. So obviously, it's the international break after this weekend. So this is a chance where we get to talk about everything that's going on in the league so far. And after the international break, it's going to be the final stretch of the season. So we're definitely going to be doing a lot of coverage on this. Let me know. Obviously, I just wanted to kind of do a brief summary of what happened this week with the draws, the European draws, as well as the results from this week. So obviously, like I said, midweek we're going to be diving into more detail on the Champions League. On the Champions League draw as well as the Europa League draw. I will be obviously with the Treble Talk crew, Jeff and Eve. We'll definitely be getting into the details of it, and I'm sure as the games get closer, there'll be more talk on that as well. I'll also be getting Aze, who is a long time member of this channel, as they will be coming in to talk about Chelsea. Obviously, Chelsea seems to be having some resurgence in their performances, so he's definitely looking forward to having that conversation about Chelsea so far. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think about the draws for today. Obviously, now we know what the fixtures are going to be, at least for the quarterfinals and the potential matchups for the semis. So let me know who you think is going to end up in the finals. Leave your comments, man. Guys, please be interactive in the comments. It really helps the channel. It really helps us grow. And then all I can say is, till next time, let's enjoy the weekend. We've got some good games coming up. The FA Cup, Manchester United versus Fulham. Looking forward to that. But anyways, guys, it's definitely been fun. Till next time, take care.